Well, as we head into the election season, 36 seats in the Senate, all 435 seats in the House are in play. Both political parties will be working to take their messages to the voters. So what will that look like exactly? We may be getting a clue about Republicans from a new super PAC ad that began running just this morning. Let's watch it together.
You believe that every parent ought to be able to choose their child's school and that the economy should be driven from the bottom up, not the top down from Washington, then you're thinking like a new Republican.
NewRepublican.org. Join us.
Fox News political insiders are here. You can join our conversation on Twitter at FN Insiders and at Harris Faulkner, hashtag FRW. John LeBoutillier, former Republican congressman for New York. You guys should wave or something. Pat Caddell, a former pollster for President Jimmy Carter and Fox News contributor. Doug Schoen, former pollster for President Bill Clinton and a Fox News contributor as well. Let's get your thoughts on the ad. We'll start with you.
Harris, this is a explicit pushback against the Tea Party brand of republicanism that is not inclusive, that has frankly divided the Republican Party, and it may well be a harbinger of something else, the beginning of Jeb Bush's presidential campaign.
Doug?
Pat. Oh, me?
Pat.
Oh, I'm still thinking of the new Nixon. The new Nixon. You have to be old enough.
He was
to remember
elected,
that.
Pat. Remember?
I know, but finally. It took forever, but he finally got elected. I'm looking at this new Republicans thing thinking, what are they about? I mean, they looked at a poll, and they had a poll that said, would you like to have this? None of which they support. They don't have an economic growth plan, but if you put up an ad and call it that, I agree with you. The two people they've got are the two people running very badly in the polling for the Republican nomination.
Can I just say
John?
one other thing? The old Republicans were ruined.
Would you don't call yourself old.
No, but they call this the new Republicans. The old Republicans were ruined by Jeb's older brother. He took the Republican brand, not only on foreign policy and economics, but on education, which Jeb is talking about. The whole notion of choice, which is a great issue for us to go out to Democrats, minorities, and talk about. What did George W. Bush do about that? He completely got rid of it and federalized education even more with No Child Left Behind. And now here his brother is trying to say that we're the party of choice.
All right.
Hence the word
Two
new.
things. I know that Twitter will be alive, on fire with you taking a punch at President George W. Bush, because that is something that Democrats do quite often.
He deserves it.
But the second thing is, we didn't show the entire ad. We showed the first part with Jeb Bush. The second is with Bobby Jindal, in case people are wondering why you guys are talking about Louisiana's governor. What is meaningful from this ad, Doug?
What is meaningful is there is now a pushback against the right wing of the Republican Party, an attempt, however haltingly, to move to the center. And to John's point, yes, this is a new Bush, like the new Nixon, and it is the start of a new presidential campaign.
But it is the campaign for the Republican establishment.
Yes, it is.
What it is not is a campaign that reaches outside that establishment, encompasses the Tea Parties and everyone else, and speaks to ordinary people.
And the idea that TV commercials are going to change the perception of a political party that has lost 5 out of the last 6 presidential elections in the popular vote. We have deeper problems than a 30-second commercial with a politician on it. We've got to get to the heart of this thing. What do the Republicans stand for that relates to people? And get back to that. And these guys don't have a clue.
It's nothing about defending ordinary people from the very powers they represent.
You know, I'm
so
curious,
do the Democrats.
because you guys are former pollsters,
right.
And so something got them to the point, this super PAC got them to the point to fashion this the way that
well,
they
if you
did.
look on this website, you can go to look at the poll. They have the poll number and the question. They put it up, and they did that.
Yeah,
So,
Harris,
so that's the answer.
they understand that they cannot maximize their appeal as a party, win the Senate, increase their standing in the House, without broadening the base. This is a generic general ad. I'm not as pessimistic as my colleagues are, but you're not going to win a national election unless you get specific and have what Pat described, a plan for growth.
And also a passion as opposed to a poll. As a pollster, I want to tell you, simply throwing up ads and saying, oh, this is popular, doesn't do the trick. They miss the connection.
Do they get at least a score for something that the Democrats are not doing, though? Because,
Well,
I mean, at least they have bargained down, not bargained, but whittled down the message, this one super PAC, to a singular focus.
Okay, I give them a score for this, which is you can't solve a problem if you don't admit and acknowledge you have a problem. And Republicans, for the last few months, in Washington and out, have admitted they know their image is a disaster. Great. But have they done anything really to fix it? Have they done anything they have the House of Representatives. What have they done with full power since 2010 legislatively to change the perception of the Republican Party? I think they've made it worse.
Something more than the party of no.
Yeah.
This is igniting, as I figured, some pushback and some equal play on Twitter. So Goddess Dell read something, says boo on the panel, the talking point is the only alternative. And then I'm seeing kind of a trend here. They call you LeBout, by the way.
Great. That's a
Tron
cousin of
Simpson
mine.
says LeBout nails it. The Bush family needs to obsess on education on a federal level and should be state-run. What did you hit with that? What nerve did you hit?
2000, when George W. Bush was the Republican nominee, the platform of the Republican Party called for the abolition of the Department of Education. Republicans do not believe the federal government should be running education. What did he do? The exact opposite. First thing he did, increase federal spending in the Department of Education by 11%, created the No Child Left Behind, which morphed into No Teacher Left Behind.
Yes,
and it has not worked. It didn't work, and he went against Republican and conservative principles.
Paul of Cicero says, how dare you bash George W. Bush 43? He is a great American. Let's move on, gentlemen, if we can. New topic, campaign finance. We saw the Supreme Court make a ruling this week. Doug, what did they say that we need to know about?
What they said is that the limits on how much an individual can give are now gone. You can't give more than $2,600 or $2,700 to a candidate, but to party committees, you can give an unlimited amount, and to individual candidates, you can give $2,700 to every candidate running if you want. This is going to help the parties strengthen their hand, strengthen the leadership in Washington, probably help the Republicans.
Exact opposite. But yes, it will. I agree with that's what it will do. But what it does is it centralizes, we've already seen the problem with money, into these party committees who pick people who are part of the political class and who ape the political class. This was, by the way, you know, the problem for the court is they think corruption is only bribery. A lot of this corruption, and who cares about how much
this will
one
bring
donor
more bundling, Pat.
The Supreme Court bundling. Let's deal with bundling. The biggest crime going on is the lobbyists in Washington are bundling hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And this doesn't touch that.
Doesn't touch any of that.
It increases it.
It increases it. It doesn't touch anything. It is meant to continue to drive this thing. And I frankly think the court's gone too far. But
does the American public care about this?
No. They don't understand it. They just
should
say,
they care?
Well, they should care, but they don't, and it's just too complicated. What law is what?
Let me tell you what
they just think the whole thing is a corrupt mess, and
what
they think every
know
politician is corrupt.
That all these people are bought. The one thing they figure is the money is buying.
Right.
And by the way, the money's buying both parties, and they are exactly right. And that ought to be the issue.
Right. And the way to, I'm not going to sit here and say I know how to fix it, but we have discussed it, the three of us. And an idea that would help is, why do I, as a candidate for public office, need all this money?
I don't know. You ran. What'd you do with
and
it?
he won.
I needed to buy television time. I had to pay you, my pollster.
Right.
I had to pay you.
And you got a good return on your investment.
I'm very happy with you. I'd hire you again.
Right.
So, but you pay enormous amount of money for TV time, right? You know, like $25,000.
And look at all this TV time you have now.
Well,
you're not running.
And I'm very happy about it. But the point is, you need this money to buy TV time. Why not make the TV time free to the candidates?
Jerry Brown in 1992, when he was running a campaign which actually raised a lot of money at $100, only $100 limited on an 800 number before the internet. You remember that 800 number?
Yeah, way back
and
in the day.
He said something I thought was profound. He said the American people at that time, remember the early 90s, owned two things. They owned the U.S. mail and they owned the airwaves. Why is all this money necessary to do it when we could give it to candidates? Except, you know why? Because the television station owners went in and threatened everybody in Congress if they did this. Everything is about money and politics.
Right. Money.
Yeah.
It's all about
if you use that reasoning, watching the NFL should be free too. But
no, it's different. But running for office
to watch commercials.
Right.
Yeah.
Harris, one anecdote worth reporting. Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats condemned and decried the decision. At the same time, their staff was going out to try to raise more money from Democratic donors, given the change in the law. So on one hand, you condemn, on the other hand, you fundraise.
It's Harry Reid attacking the Koch brothers, and whether you think that's good or bad what the Koch brothers are doing. Meanwhile, there's Tom Steyer, who's a Democrat extreme environmentalist, putting in even more money
to block the Keystone Pipeline.
To block the Keystone Pipeline, who's financing Harry Reid. The hypocrisy on this stuff is overwhelming.
Can we put up the numbers on Obamacare right now, please? The Affordable Care Act, something that Democrats will either have to run with or run from.
Can we laugh at the numbers?
The latest opinion of it among voters that we surveyed, 55% oppose it. This is a critical tipping point because we're not that far away now from the midterm elections. 7.1 million people signed up, that's what the White House says, for Obamacare, around or about that moving deadline last week. John, your thoughts?
Well, I think the whole thing was a campaign rally in the Rose Garden. We knew that the administration had asked for primetime TV time from the networks and was denied it. This was all a rally to make the Democrats believe, oh, okay, Obamacare's over the hump. It's a winning issue. Don't be afraid of it.
Pat?
Well, I mean, the numbers are so phony. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's hard to decide which is worse, the unemployment numbers being cooked or these numbers.
Why do you think they're cooked?
Because, first of all, they were going to produce 7 million no matter what. What they did was they're counting, first of all, let's remember, everyone we put on Medicaid, which is a safety net program, are in there. The millions of people who lost their health insurance because of Obamacare and signed in here are not, we don't know how many there are. And the people who haven't paid yet for it, which the insurance industry says is about 20%, reduces that number. Look, this is what Washington is about. Phony numbers to claim victory, but it's still not helping the Democrats because you saw the Quincy Act.
You know, Doug, I'm curious in this midterm election year if this helps, since we're talking about branding, rebrand Obamacare. If they can float these numbers out, 7.1 million, does this help them?
That is the hope. The problem is it flies in the face of the poll that you put up, which was 41 positive and 55 negative. It's going to take a lot of selling to make it clear that this is a positive outcome, especially since the news that's going to come next, Harris, is how premiums are going to go up
We're
in
already
2050.
seeing that.
Right.
We're already seeing
and that's
that.
a huge, huge issue.
And what they, by changing the law, will, because after all, we're in a banana republic now. The president does whatever he wants. What we have is all of these changes delayed before the election, which are going to hit after. And you know what? The American people aren't stupid. They're experiencing this. That's the problem with Obama.
So while Obamacare continues to drag the Democrats down, Republicans have made a decision up till this week to get out of the way and let Obamacare
It
bomb.
seems to be working for them. No?
It works for the Republicans. They're ahead in all the key Senate races, quite significantly in many of them. Guess what happened this week? Paul Ryan releases his budget. Paul Ryan's new budget will be accused for the third year in a row of privatizing Medicare down the line, give the Democrats ammo to counter the Obamacare problem.
Harris, what the Republicans are doing here is trying to motivate the base. Midterm elections are about turnout. $5 trillion in spending is cut through the Ryan budget. It has the vulnerabilities John spoke of, but it will get the base activated.
As pollsters, you've looked at the numbers. Are there enough in the base to do what the Republicans need to do?
For the off year, probably, but not beyond that. And the fact is, even Republicans do not like cutting Medicare. They don't understand why the programs they believe in have to be cut because we have no grand consensus on this.
All right, about Obamacare and the 7.1 million people who signed up, according to the White House, Timothy McBride is not happy. He says the numbers are phony, ? The Medicaid numbers are not in there.
They are in
the
there.
Panel's wrong.
They
But you're saying
are in there. Anything they could throw in there to justify 7.1, they put it in. But it really isn't solving the problem.
It's not. Look, we're spending $2 trillion supposedly putting people who don't have insurance to give them health care. And guess what? At the rate we're doing this, we could have all bought them Cadillac plans in the old days.
You know,
Or
we're talking
Cadillacs,
about
it sounds
campaign
like.
finance reform for these congressmen to get all this money. Do you realize this administration has spent $700 million of our money advertising Obamacare.
And guess who got rich on that? All the people who get to make it, all the people on the inside. This is just, and the public still, the dogs still don't like the dog food.
All right. I want to talk about a special that's going to run on Fox later tonight. It has to do with enemy of the state, private citizens and the fight of their lives, a Fox documentary, Enemies of the State. It takes a look at just that. It's hosted by John Scott. You see the particulars there, 9 p.m. Eastern. Doug, your thoughts on this? I saw you tweet this out, and you said, are you an enemy of the state? Watch us.
Here's the thing. Under both Democrats and Republicans, people who take on the government don't have their rights protected. They frequently become scapegoated for asserting their rights and speaking out forthrightly. This is a powerful documentary, Harris, and it speaks to a concern that I suspect every Fox viewer and virtually all Americans have.
Yeah, there's one gentleman in there who says that his family's been fighting to keep their farm out of the hands of the federal government for decades.
Decades, fighting Democrats, Republicans, everyone. Look, the problem we have in this country, someone referred to it as soft, is very despotism or soft authoritarianism. What we have is, this is supposed to be a democracy, not a country where if you get out of line, the government can come after you. And the problem is, they can come after you every possible way. They're also writing more and more laws making everything criminal to, in fact, intimidate and oppress the American people. This is not freedom, folks.
And the trend is getting worse by the minute with more NSA involvement, the fact that we learned last week from General Clapper that they are listening to phone calls and reading emails through a legal back door. This is more government power over the people.
The question is who's in sovereign, the people or the government? And right now the government is trying to oppress the people. And I don't care whether you're a Democrat or Republican.
And that's our big thing. The inside the Beltway people, all of them, it is a corrupt system out to screw us.
Ooh, I think we could bleep that if we could. Let's pop up that picture. A lot of our viewers wrote captions for this, and the winner is that woman running for president? My favorite was, where's the volume switch to turn her down? Chuck Girardi, you won tonight. I'll post it on Facebook.